Jesus leaves Nazareth and makes his way to John, a meditation based on Mark 1, verse 9 to 15. I imagine that when Jesus decided to leave Nazareth, perhaps village children and a few stray dogs accompanied him to the edge of town until he gave them his final greeting or blessing. Finding himself on his knees, maybe Jesus used touch or a smile or the assurance that they would see him again before taking his leave. Perhaps there were tears. They had never known a more accessible, honest, compassionate human being quite like him before. One of the first and maybe hardest steps in any journey, no less a spiritual one, is the willingness to leave the security of one's home, that place of familiarity, comfort, and strength. To leave behind what you know, what you have grown to love, and to trust the pull of life or the pull of God's Spirit. This is what Jesus was doing as he felt within his bones an insatiable need to go to John. Another difficult step in any journey is the willingness to learn and to be taught new things, to be green again, even at the age of about 30 as Jesus was, or 90, or 120. So Jesus made his way to John, who was preaching a baptism of repentance. In other words, turn your life around, reorient yourself towards God, towards deeper things like justice, kindness, goodness, compassion, love. Jesus allowed himself to be baptized and submerged in the river and into the teachings of John. It was in this environment that Jesus awakened to a deeper identity, a deeper sense of self, of who he truly was. In that experience, Jesus realized what every human being needs to on their own path. I am loved by God. I belong to God. I am God's child. God is well pleased with me. In that moment, perhaps Jesus recalled the many unflattering, insulting names he may have been called as a child growing up in Nazareth. Illegitimate, unworthy, strange, being just a few of them. As he came out of the water, a new identity broke through. I'm loved by God. I belong to God. I'm God's beloved, God's child. I'm not a mistake. I bring God pleasure. This propelled Jesus even further, the Gospels tell us, driven into the wilderness, a harsh, almost unforgiving environment where he was tempted by Satan. It was also in this heartless and cruel place that he became aware of the presence of angels. Angels do not just gather in beautiful places, but bring beauty, healing, peace, blessing, and wholeness to places broken and bereft thereof. Mark's Gospel tells us that they waited upon him. They knew where they had hung their aprons, so they served him, tending to his deepest needs. They will do the same for you, beloved. When Jesus learned that John, his teacher and friend, had been arrested, his heart suffered another blow. This propelled him to pick up the drumbeat of his beloved teacher, expressing teachings similar to these. God's kingdom is here, Jesus insisted. It is within you. It is among you. Examine the direction in which you look and live. Don't feed your darkness. Still those negative voices. Listen to mine. Believe what I bring. You are loved by God. You belong to God. You are God's beloved, God's child. You are not a mistake. You bring joy and pleasure to the heart of God. And it is to this and to so much more that he gave himself after he learnt that John had been arrested.